Let me start with a question. When a potential customer asks ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, or another AI platform to recommend the best companies in your category, does your brand appear in the answer? And if it does appear, how is it described? Is your company positioned as a market leader, a trusted expert, an innovator, or is your biggest competitor being recommended instead? This is a question I believe every CMO and enterprise marketing leader needs to ask today because we are entering a world where visibility is no longer determined only by where your website ranks. It is increasingly determined by whether AI systems understand your brand, trust your brand, and have enough evidence to confidently cite your brand. I call the architecture behind this the trust stack. And today, I want to explain how I think about it as an AI marketing practitioner, not as another theoretical marketing framework, but as a practical way for enterprises to understand a fundamental shift in digital discovery. Because the next competitive battle is not simply about ranking number one, it is about becoming the brand that AI believes is worth recommending. Welcome to the podcast. Today, we are talking about the trust stack, how AI decides who to believe. Let us talk about the shift from ranking to recommendation. For most of the last 2 decades, digital marketing operated around a relatively familiar model. A customer searched, a search engine ranked, the customer clicked. Our job as marketers was to earn visibility somewhere in that journey. But AI is changing the interface. Increasingly, the customer asks a question and receives an answer, not 10 blue links, not necessarily a comparison page, an answer. And that changes the role of the marketer because when an AI system generates that answer, it is effectively making a selection. Which companies should I mention? Which sources should I cite? Which claims appear credible? Which brands have enough evidence behind them to be recommended? This is why I believe the conversation needs to move beyond traditional SEO. SEO remains important. Your technical foundations, content quality, authority, discoverability, and search visibility still matter. But being searchable is not necessarily the same as being recommendable. And for CMOs, that distinction is becoming strategically important. Your enterprise may have thousands of pages, you may rank for thousands of keywords, you may have significant domain authority. But when a buyer asks an AI system a high intent question about your category, your brand may still be absent. That is the visibility gap I am increasingly focused on. The original research and framework behind this episode highlights the growing importance of EEAT, third party validation, entity recognition, structured data, reviews, and consistent brand signals across the wider digital ecosystem. I see these signals as layers of a larger trust architecture, the trust stack. What exactly is the trust stack? For me, the trust stack begins with a simple principle. AI confidence is built through evidence. Your website can say that your company is a leader. Your sales presentation can say that you are innovative. Your press release can say that you are trusted by enterprises. But those are first party claims. The real question is, does the wider digital ecosystem support those claims? Are respected publications talking about you? Are industry experts mentioning you? Are customers reviewing you? Are credible websites citing your research? Are your executives recognized as experts in the subjects your company wants to own? Is your brand described consistently across your website, media coverage, industry directories, podcasts, videos, review platforms, social channels, and other authoritative sources? When multiple independent signals reinforce the same understanding of your brand, something important happens. You begin to create consensus. And I believe consensus is becoming one of the most important concepts in AI visibility. An AI system is more likely to have confidence in an entity when multiple credible sources consistently associate that entity with a particular topic, capability, or area of expertise. Think about this from an enterprise perspective. If you want your company to be recognized as a leader in cloud transformation, saying it on your website is one signal, but if analysts discuss your capabilities, customers review your work, executives publish expert insights, industry publications mention your company, and authoritative websites associate your brand with cloud transformation, the signal becomes much stronger. Your brand is no longer simply making a claim, the ecosystem is validating it. That is the difference between brand messaging and machine verifiable reputation. Moving on to EEATI's part of the foundation. One of the frameworks that helps us understand this is EEAT: experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. But I do not think enterprise marketers should treat EEAT as another SEO checklist. I think we need to look at it as a reputation framework. Experience asks, have you actually done what you are talking about? For an enterprise, that could mean case studies, proprietary research, original data, implementation experience, customer outcomes, or insights from people who have genuinely worked in the field. Expertise asks, do the people behind the content actually understand the subject? This is where subject matter experts become critical. Your engineers, your consultants, your researchers, your business leaders, your practitioners. One of the biggest missed opportunities I see in enterprise marketing is that some of the organization's most valuable expertise remains invisible. The knowledge exists inside the company, but the digital evidence of that knowledge does not. Authoritativeness asks, does the wider ecosystem recognize you? Who mentions you? Who cites you? Who invites your leaders to speak? Where does your expertise appear beyond your own domain? And finally, trust. Can your claims be verified? Are your authors identifiable? Is your information consistent? Is your content transparent? Does your reputation across the web support the story you're telling about yourself? This is why I say trust is not something a marketing team can manufacture with one campaign. Trust is accumulated, signal by signal, source by source, experience by experience. AI visibility is also a reputation issue. This is where the conversation becomes much bigger than SEO. Imagine that your enterprise has spent 20 years building a strong reputation. You have excellent customers, strong delivery capabilities, deep expertise, thousands of employees. But AI systems do not clearly understand what you are known for. That creates a new type of reputation gap. Your real world reputation and your machine readable reputation are not aligned. For CMOs, I believe this is becoming a serious strategic issue because AI generated answers are increasingly becoming a new layer between the customer and the brand. The customer may form an opinion about your company before visiting your website. They may ask, who are the leaders in this market? Which vendors should I evaluate? What are the best alternatives? Which companies have expertise in this technology? What are the strengths and weaknesses of this provider? The answer may be generated from information distributed across the web. Your website is only one part of that information environment. This means enterprise reputation management can no longer focus only on what appears on page 1 of Google. We also need to understand how AI systems interpret, summarize, compare, and recommend our brands. Let us move to practicality. The 5 layers I would audit. If I were sitting with a CMO today and evaluating their AI visibility, I would look at 5 areas. First, topical authority. What subjects does the digital ecosystem consistently associate with your company? Not what you want to be known for. What are you actually known for? There can be a significant difference. Second, entity clarity. Can machines clearly understand who your company is, what it does, who its experts are, and how those entities connect? This is where consistent information, author profiles, structured data, and clear organizational relationships matter. Third, third party validation. Where does your brand exist outside your own website? Industry publications, independent research, customer reviews, podcasts, videos, directories, expert discussions, editorial mentions. These signals help create external validation. Fourth, content evidence. Are you publishing generic information that hundreds of competitors could also publish? Or are you contributing something distinctive? Original research, first hand experience, proprietary data, expert opinions, customer outcomes, unique frameworks. I believe The age of generic enterprise content is becoming increasingly difficult to defend. AI can generate generic information at enormous scale. The competitive advantage now comes from producing information that only your organization could credibly produce. And fifth, reputation consistency. Does the story about your brand remain coherent across the digital ecosystem? Because inconsistency creates uncertainty, and uncertainty reduces confidence. This leads to what should CMOs do now. My recommendation is not to create another isolated AI marketing project. Start by treating AI visibility as a cross functional reputation discipline. Marketing has a major role, but so do communications, SEO, content, digital, PR, subject matter experts, customer experience, and leadership. First, establish a baseline. Ask the questions your customers are asking across major AI platforms. Which brands appear? Which sources are cited? How is your company described? Where are the gaps? Then compare your desired positioning with your AI visible positioning. That gap is strategically valuable. Second, identify the topics your organization genuinely has the right to own. You cannot become authoritative on everything. Build depth where you have real expertise, real experience, and real evidence. Third, activate your experts. Your executives and subject matter experts should not remain hidden behind anonymous corporate content. Their expertise is part of your brand's trust architecture. Fourth, strengthen independent validation. Do not think only in terms of backlinks. Think about credible mentions, citations, reviews, expert participation, original research, industry conversations, and consistent third party evidence. And finally, measure AI visibility continuously because this environment is dynamic. The question is no longer simply where do we rank? The new questions are where are we cited? When are we recommended? How are we described? And what evidence is shaping that answer? At the end, I want to leave you with one thought. For years, marketers have worked to influence what customers think about their brands. Now we also need to understand what machines understand about our brands. And those two realities cannot be separated. AI does not create your reputation from nothing. It interprets the signals available to it. Your content, your experts, your customers, your citations, your mentions, your reviews, your authority, your consistency. Together, those signals create your trust stack. So, the question for every CMO is not simply are we visible? The more important question is have we created enough credible evidence for AI to believe that we deserve to be visible? Because in the next era of digital discovery, the brands that win will not simply be the brands that publish the most. They will be the brands that are the easiest to understand, the easiest to verify, and the safest to trust. And that is why I believe building your trust stack is becoming one of the most important responsibilities in modern marketing. I'm Rohit Shetty, and this is Marketing with AI by Rohit Shetty. If this episode gave you a new way to think about AI visibility, share it with a marketing leader who is still measuring digital visibility only through rankings and traffic. I'll see you in the next episode.